Thank you for calling the New York State Department of Labor's Tel Service line. To continue in English, press 1.
Habla español, marque 5.
After the tone, please leave your name and state your reason for claiming unemployment insurance benefits.
Bill Mullane, midlife crisis.
Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Gosh damn, I gotta go. Oh my good gosh damn. Oh, I don't know. Oh my good gosh damn. I gotta go. Oh my good gosh damn. I don't know. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh.
My constructive feedback was to take voice lessons or watch even YouTube videos on like how to warm up your voice and how to hit notes and tones. Okay? And to stop babbling on dumb topics, man. Those were my constructive feedback points. Okay? So like those are things that you can improve, and then as I said in my previous
Thank
message,
you,
man,
Chucky Calzone. That is seriously one of the best people I've ever known in my life. He's a great human being, good person, good heart, and a calm manner, as you can hear. And I really appreciate his advice. And you want to hear more from Chuck, you can hear us discuss the Bills on the DFL podcast, which dropped on Monday. There should be a link to it somewhere here or whatever. Links to the website. Go check it out. The DFL podcast, man. It came out great. And this episode here, the Bill Mullane Show, is a little different tonight because I'm recording this now. The Bills kick off against the Dolphins in an hour and about 20 minutes. It's Thursday night here. And you go, hey, Bill, you normally record this on Monday morning, don't you? Well, Monday morning did the DFL podcast, and then Tuesday's the blog, and I just didn't really get around to talking yet. And it's also, I've been in a state of contemplation, of self-reflection. You know, I've been really sitting around just self-absorbed, really. But what that is and what I'm getting to is, like I said, my friend Chuck there, the DFL podcast co-host, you know, he mentioned, and my brother said, and you've heard voice clips from my family members and other people and shit on here that letting you know what they think, you know, and of what I do on the show and stuff. And it's become really to the point now where a lot of what I have done is because I've been kind of overcompensating, which I'm sure you can feel, you know. But I think I've broken past that now. I'm proud to announce I'm smashing that barrier. I'm not gonna babble on endlessly about things you don't care about. I'm done bringing you updates on Smiley and Pickles. I've been told that's not appreciated. So nobody cares about the little baby birds. And I need a pop filter for the microphone, but that's all I'm gonna say about that. I was told that I did go on for several minutes about these things. I get it. I do. I ramble, man. I ramble. But you know what I'm doing? I'm honing it. I'm honing the ramble, people. And anyone who's listened thus far, my 8 followers or other subscribers in other places too, whoever's listening and whoever has for the long haul here, you're going to be awarded soon, rewarded for your efforts. I'm shattering that shit where I just babble endlessly about nothing and learning how to actually podcast, I think. I'm starting to kind of understand how to communicate on here. I know you're probably listening to this now going, Bill, no, you haven't learned anything. You're babbling about babbling now. Well, I do have a diary type of style when I talk a little bit, I guess, on here. And that's what this show is probably going to stay with. But there are going to be some changes here, and I want to address that first. So first thing, I put out the website, The Bill Mullane Show. You have the DFL podcast, a Brothers Macabre, the horror stories, the weekly alignment meditation, and Aligning the Beyond, all umbrellaed underneath the Bill Mullane Show, right? And say, okay, I was told too that I'm probably spreading myself too. And I probably am. As I started getting into doing the DFL podcast, I go, all right, what am I really going to focus on here? Well, the meditations, those are, I'm doing them anyway, so that's not a thing. And I'm go, okay, well, I can release the meditations. This is what's going to happen. The meditations are being released alongside the new episode of the Bill Mullane Show every week. It would be a separate thing you can listen to separately, but that will be delivered at the same time. Aligning the Beyond is going to continue as part of the Bill Mullane Show. Every once in a while, not every week. Once in a while when I feel like talking about that subject, the paranormal in general. There's going to be paranormal discussion on this show. Probably, hopefully a balance of that and, maybe comedic skits and stuff. And then, of course, I am not, despite the calls for my removal from the world of music, I'm not doing it, people. I've got to bring you a song. I might bring you less songs, maybe. We'll see. Maybe I'll reward you that way. Torture your ears a little less often. But yeah, I want to let you know that because I'm bringing in the episode. Because I was building a whole episode of Aligning the Beyond, which on the website still says right now that it's a separate podcast. It's not going to be. It's going to be basically the three. The Bill Mullane Show, the DFL podcast, and the Brothers McCarb. The Bill Mullane Show will include segments of Aligning the Beyond and will also be released with weekly meditations separately. So that's the path going forward. Now, I know I've already babbled too much, so I'm going to get into this week's theme, I guess, which goes to the opening. I am basically a walking midlife crisis, I guess. But I made this joke a while ago. I think of it as a midlife fuck this. It's really not a funny joke, but that's really more accurately, a better description. Because it's, I just got to a point where I just don't care anymore. And now I do care. The crisis part is real. I'm not really scrambling to the unemployment line, but I speak a lot about this in the blog. But the basic idea is the comfort in sadness and in poverty and in struggle, really. There's a comfort that comes with a struggling lifestyle. And people out there struggling right now hear this and go, fuck you, man. And I understand the angst and all of that over it, but there's a truth to that. That there's a comfort in familiar ways. And if you are accustomed to struggling, to fighting to survive, for just always keeping your head above water, juggling the bills, you will actually make decisions unconsciously, sometimes consciously, to do things that will keep you there. And you don't even know you're doing them. And so recognizing these things as a whole, it's a whole journey to kind of find these things that we do and go and change our beliefs and change these things. And it's a whole mission that I've been on for a while. But I was sitting back and reflecting on a lot of that. And I guess this song just kind of came to me. And I guess I feel like playing that for you now, so that's what I'm going to do. This is called Another Victim of Corduroy Road.
Tell me what's the reason? Where did I come from? Or is this all just a mad season in the big yellow sun? Down this ugly road.
Aligning the Beyond.
All right, yeah, I like the sound of that. Very ominous, very nice. Say what's up to my co-producer, Ivan. It's a good song. Get people in the mood. Yes. So welcome in, people, to Aligning the Beyond. I'm not a math guy. I'm not going to teach you mathematics and these things. I know a lot about the paranormal, though, and so I love to discuss it. And I started combing around for the tales and that, and I came across two almost back to back that were titled after the decades of the 80s and 90s. So I figured this first one goes just right into that idea, because the first story here is titled Experiences as a Kid in the 1980s.
I, a 44-year-old man, have strange memories of things that occurred in and around the house I lived in until I was 12 years old. It was a small ranch-style house in a working-class neighborhood, and my parents' first home, which they had built in 1981. I remember a pervasive feeling of being watched and being terrified to sleep or even get out of bed at night, in most cases. One of my earliest childhood memories is of what I can only describe as a small section of the ceiling in the hallway just outside of my bedroom, separating, becoming animated and settling over my bed. This thing got very close to my face and it spoke to me. I don't remember what it said. As time went on, I sometimes would hear what sounded like a person in heavy socks or slippers dragging their feet down the carpeted hallway. Years later, my parents told me they had also had paranormal experiences in that house. My mom claims to have seen an apparition in the same hallway, and my dad told me he awoke early one morning to see a white mist hovering above their bed. After we moved to another town in 1992, I was very relieved and didn't have any experiences in our new house. That said, to this day, when I enter certain spaces, houses in particular, I quickly get a similar feeling of dread, of being watched, that takes me back to my childhood. My daughter had a dream years ago where she was about 3 years old, and she woke up in the middle of the night, and she came into my room, and she was telling me about seeing this dragon type of creature coming out of a balloon that was sitting in the corner of her bedroom, and she said it was coming out of there and trying to talk to her, come out and kind of molding out of the balloon and fading from the corner of the wall, in and out of the wall, in and out of the closet. And we're laying down, I'm trying to get her back to sleep, and she is just going on and on, staring at this thing, and I'm looking at her eyes, and she's not dreaming anymore, and she's watching it. I can see her eyes floating around, watching whatever's in the corner there. I'm not seeing anything there. She still remembers this today. It's probably one of her earliest memories. And that's what I put together. Ultimately, I was able to discover that because when we're first born, we are coming from a realm of spirit in which manifestation is instant. So when you choose to have an incarnation here, it's very difficult to bring this physical existence into something solid. Because they're coming from an ethereal or an energy state. So we form it through our beliefs that we buy into as children, that we pick up from the adults and your peers around you, but you're seeing through the molecular structures around you and seeing the true motion of everything and how everything is constantly in motion. And she was seeing that, peering into, I think, another dimension of a frequency, a realm closer to the realm where you come from. Now, there's many realms between here and our natural state of spirit. There's lower realms and higher realms, and we dip into and in and out of them all the time, which really is all of paranormal activity in a nutshell. Just something that is visible on a different frequency that you're not normally seeing. And that tale of my daughter, that's the same, it's a similar thing as this person telling that story was explaining, seeing the ceiling open up and this thing come out. That this is, you're connecting with another realm that's very real. It's not something you hallucinated, it's there. If it's not important to you to understand and it's just a fun story, you can go that route too. But this thing was something sounding kind of an alarm, sort of letting you know, hey, there's something that you planned in this life. This is the reminder when you think back on this, when you're ready to understand it, there's a reminder there. There's something you're supposed to know from that. And that, of course, is up to you. Now, you also spoke about hearing what sounded like a person in heavy socks or slippers dragging their feet. And your parents had also experienced things in that house as well. So there are places that automatically, when you are in that area, in that space, will raise your frequency a little bit, enough to see somewhat beyond. And that's what you're seeing, and it's a beautiful thing. Appreciate that. And on to the next story here. Takes place in the 90s. The 90s curious experience, they call it. So, I saw a post of someone's childhood paranormal experiences in the 90s, and it inspired me to share mine. We lived in a 2-flat in the Portage Park area of Chicago. From a young age, I saw and felt things in that place that I've never felt since. We had an enclosed back porch, and at the landing between the upper and bottom floors, I always sensed a presence. When I was a small child, I threw stuff at it. Mostly crayons and one time an unlit candle. It scared me, and I think as a kid in my mind, I was trying to provoke it. Physically, it appeared to be a weird gray shadow or like a slightly dark static haze. But I could feel its presence. It was there until we moved away in 2001. Also, my brothers and I saw the shadow people in our flat regularly, and the most prominent experience was on Easter, 1997. I was 9 years old. I woke up early to check my Easter basket, and when I stepped into the dining room, I saw a kid standing under the couch cover. I thought it was my youngest brother. He was 3. I walked over to the couch cover and I touched it to remove it, and the clearly outlined child's shape collapsed back into a flat couch cover. I remember it. I literally stood there for 5 minutes trying to understand what just happened, what I just experienced. It was bizarre because after the cover settled back, it was like nothing happened. I still don't know what happened, and I have no explanation. I've never experienced anything like that again in my life. Wow. Now, a story like that is incredibly fascinating because of the physicalness of it, which is you created a scenario in your own life, in this realm, on this earth, in this time frame, in this life. You created a scenario for yourself in which you actually physicalized what is spirit. You created a situation in which you encountered this, and it disappears real quick. It is letting you know that this life, this physical reality, this realm we're in now, is no less spiritual than the spirit realm we come from. It's no different. There is no separation. There's no difference between here and the other side, what we call the beyond, or we call the other side. There is the experience of the separation. You can experience it as though this is really real. That's what we're all doing here. The old, if you want to find enlightenment, chop wood, carry water, understand the meaning of life. It means be here, now, present, here. This is the only time and place that there really is. So whether it's the 90s or the 80s or any other decade on down the line, this is really the only time and place there is. It's the only one that matters. You are here, you are now. You are creating here and now. This is where you need to be, where you need to remain. That's what that's teaching you. As we look through the rest of what is said, and that's the majority of that story. That is absolutely fascinating and terrifying. Going through that it's wild. Now, the shadow people that you have mentioned, and that's where that ends right there. I cut it off. I had something to do, and that was the end of what was the Aligning the Beyond podcast, which was going to be separate from the show, and now it's just remaining a segment that I will do, as I mentioned earlier. One reason I also cut that off there was because I was getting into these shadow people, and there's multiple explanations for things like this and negative entities and different, and I realized kind of like, I don't have all these answers. People, please understand, I know what I know, but I'm constantly learning. Life is a journey of constantly learning. You never stop. And if you do stop learning, that's where your life pretty much ends. But as you will notice if you look at or if you've read the Aligning the Beyond page at the Bill Mullane Show website, I speak about having grown up in haunted houses, and I did. I grew up seeing spirits and ghosts all my life. It's what really propelled me into this kind of avenue and why I want to work with this material and I do these things. I love discussing it, going into it, diving into the understandings of what these things are that we're seeing and what happens, when you know that stuff is real. Some people, I guess, want to figure it out. Maybe others don't. We learn this when we're children. I remember in middle school learning, put a microscope down to the very fine level of the atom, and it's like vibrating there. And I would be like, wait, so I remember thinking, so this desk and things that I look at here, this thing is everything inside of it's vibrating? That's insane. And I guess most other people just like the Pete Holmes joke, I'll never think about that again. Why? What? Yeah, what? My brain just doesn't operate like that, I guess. I have to try and figure it out. What are you talking about? Everything's vibrating. You fucking nuts. And then you investigate, and once you start understanding these things, everything works on that, and we're just projecting this reality through our consciousness, and this is incredible. So, I love talking about that, but I don't really know. Maybe that show might even become part of the Brothers Macabre series and stuff. I'm just starting to get into those stories now. This weekend I'll be spending some time diving into that. Can't wait to bring those to you. And trust me, I wanted to do a trailer again or another kind of preview for this, but I don't want to read lines from any of the stories really. I figured it would have to be recorded and produced, and I just haven't had time to do any of that yet for that show. But the writing process is really ramping up now, and I look forward to bringing some intense, crazy tales. Man, I love good good, scary shit. So should you if you're tuning into this. I've also come to an epiphany that I need to probably remove this from the comedy section. Because not everything is comedy. This episode, I don't think there's anything really funny on this one. So I'm sorry if you're tuning in to laugh. Unless you're like laughing at just like my efforts, which I understand. That's all. I think I can keep it comedy. Actually, now that I think about it. Just the idea, like, especially if I'm, like, this episode, I just kind of feel in my head is more serious, which by default makes it funnier probably because no one's taking it seriously. So that works, I guess. That gives you a good laugh. I was ending with a story. I mean, I guess I could do that. I have a little time I can see on the thing here. I know I gotta chop this portion up real quick before I put this out there. And is there anything I wanted to talk to you about? I can ponder that for a second. And while I'm pondering, remember that the Bill Mullane Show, as always, is brought to you by Dee-Wees. Did I introduce the episode this week? Bill Mullane Show, episode 18. Hope you've enjoyed. I think this is 18. Yeah, since I only gave you the song, and which I hope you enjoyed. By the way, I think that song came out excellent. And I realized that I don't need to care what anyone else thinks anymore. I enjoy it. And I had a close friend 20 years ago. I used to play music, and me and him would drink every day and sit on my front porch, and I would jam the acoustic guitar and sing songs, and we would just, get lit and have a good old time, most days in the summer. And we spent a lot of time doing that, and I would play, and he would always say, man, I wish I could play guitar and sing and stuff, and I'd be like, yeah, right. And in my mind, always thinking, yeah, but nothing's come of it yet, and I'm 19, 20, then, going, yeah, but I'm here, I am this and that, but I'm, scrubbing cars or whatever for money, and, so in my mind, it was like, oh, yeah, but thanks, man, but, like, I got to do something with it, like, otherwise, what am I doing? He would say that he didn't care. He just wished he could do it so that he could go to work and all that and come home and play the guitar and just sing songs to himself. And it's funny because that's all I really did a lot of the time was for myself, and that's what I've been continuing, and that's what I do still. But it's profound in a sense, and it's funny because it completely went over my head back then. But that was just the meaning of it. Like, that's what it's for. It's the journey is the destination, right? I wasn't present back then and I could sing a little bit back in the day, and fuck off if you think any different now. Kiss my grits. All right, people, listen, this has been fun. I mean, that wasn't really much of a story for you, but just what popped in my head thinking right now. And have yourselves all a beautiful, wonderful evening, and I'll see you next week.
DFL, bitch.